Good morning, students. Today we shall learn the first poem of your book Beehive, The Road Not Taken, written by Robert Frost. So, dear children, open your book at page number 15. About the poet. Robert Lee Frost was born on 26 March 1874 in San Francisco, California. He was an American poet. He is still known for his realistic depictions of rural life in New England, which he used to examine complex social and philosophical themes. He wrote simply but insightfully about common, ordinary experiences of life. He died on 29th January 1963. The Road Not Taken is a well-known poem by Robert Frost, published in 1916 as the first poem in the collection Mountain Interval. In the poem, The Road Not Taken, the road symbolizes our life. The poet says that the path that we don't choose in our life is the road not taken. The poem begins with a dilemma: to choose a road which makes all the differences. Dilemma is a situation in which a difficult choice has to be made between two or more alternatives. It is related to our own life. Every time we have to make a decision between two or more alternatives, and the decision which we have made decides our future, our destination. So let us start the explanation of the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. I am telling you some meanings of the difficult words. Diverged means separated at a common point, and yellow wood means the forest in the autumn season. You know that in autumn season the leaves fall down from the trees and become dry, and the leaves, those who are on the trees, they turn yellow. Long I stood. Long here means that for a long time. And undergrowth means where the road is covered with the trees on both sides, and densely it is covered with the trees and a thick growth of shrubs. So the poet says that he is standing at a common point where the road is separated into two in the yellow forest, and the poet felt sorry that as being one traveller he could not travel on both the roads. He had to decide, he had to choose one of the two roads here. Before taking one of them, the poet is saying that he stood there for a long time and looked down as far as he could. He could not see much as the road bent and disappeared in the dense undergrowth. So this stanza presents the dilemma one faces when they are to make difficult, life-changing choices. Now second stanza. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was glossy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. The poet is saying that after staring down one of the roads, he decided to choose the other path because it seemed as fair. Fair means good. It was seemed to the poet that it is good and had better claim. Better claim means to say that sometimes whenever we make the choices, it create an image in our mind that this option is better. So in the same way, the second road, the other road, seemed to have better claim to the poet, and the reason he gave for this is that It was glossy. Glossy means covered with the grass, and wanted wear means was not worn out. The poet said that it was covered with grass and it was not being walked on very much. However, the poet seemed uncertain about his decision when he declared that, "Thou, as for that the passing there refers to the travelers on foot. He said that the road which he had taken looked equally worn out." Stanza 3. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. Lay in leaves means covered with leaves. Trodden black means stepped on to crush. It means when the leaves fall down and we step on them, they turn black. The poet says that in that morning both the roads were covered with leaves which were not black by steps crushing them. It means that perhaps the poet was the first to travel down the road on that day. He rationalized his choice by saying that he would later come back to the road he had missed. Now, the poet is in conflicting choice. He said that on the first side, he said that I kept the first road for another day, that on some day I will return back on this first road. But suddenly he realized that his wish to come back to try the other road might remain unfulfilled, because as one ended up far away from where he had started, so it is difficult to come back at the same point. So it is similar in case of decisions made in life. One cannot retrace one's steps back to try a second decision, as the decision already made leads to another, yet another decision, and this decide the future of us. Now, stanza 4. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Ages and ages hence means many years later. With a sigh means a deep sigh with sorrow or happiness. Here, the poet concludes that many years later he will be telling with a sigh that when two roads diverged in a forest, he took the one that was less travelled by the people. So, here the poet is of adventurous nature. He challenges himself by choosing the less travelled road. He says that his present choice would make all the differences in future. However, it is unclear that the road he has chosen will lead to success or failure, but that will make all the difference in his life. So, the important message the poet wants to convey is that the choice that we make has an impact on our future, and if we make a wrong choice, we regret it but cannot go back on it. So, we must be wise while making choices. Now, analysis of literary devices used in the poem. Rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme where the last words of each line rhymes with each other. Here, the last word of first, third and fourth lines rhymes with each other, that is would, stood and could. And the last word of second and fifth line rhymes with each other, both and under growth. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A A B. Next is alliteration, where the consonant words are repeating and closely connected words. So here wanted, where the sound of W is repeating. Metaphor, this poetic device is used to compare two unlike things. Here the road acts as a metaphor for life. Simile, to compare two things by using like or as. So here as far as and just as fair. Next is repetition. Repetition means the repetition of the words. Here somewhere ages and ages, hence ages word is repeating twice. And the last one is imagery. Imagery is used to make the readers feel things through their five senses. The image of yellow wood, leaves and road create a real image in reader's mind. So children, I hope you understood the poem properly.